A real time saver in the 2D drawing tools is the offset command. Let me show you how it works. If I come up here and grab a center point rectangle, I can come down here and define a shape. And if I wanted to have another rectangle that's larger than this rectangle, I could come back and I could add another rectangle like that. Okay. Now if I wanted to define the size, I could just define like from this line to that line. For instance, maybe it's a 1/2 of an inch. Come over here, I could say, well, here's another 1/2 of an inch on this side. And of course we have to add some dimensions to the actual rectangle. How about 6 inches? And on this side, 5 inches. And then still not fully defined, so I'm gonna grab a corner and say, oh, I guess I can rotate still. So maybe we'll take one of these lines and we'll say, let's make this one horizontal. Okay, fully defined. That is pretty straightforward, right? But there's a little bit easier way to do that. So if I delete all these out of here and I go and create myself a rectangle. Here's that rectangle, and I'll do the same thing. I'll add a couple dimensions, right? I'm gonna say 6 inches here. I'm gonna say 5 inches over here, and let's make this line here. So click on that, and we're gonna add a horizontal. All right, and let's see. Somehow it didn't add the horizontal. Let's try one more time. So click on the line itself, constraints, and then make horizontal. All right, so now we have fully defined. Now what I can do is I can grab this offset tool. So click on offset, and my figures to offset. If I choose one of these lines, it's going to offset it either out or in, your choice. And if I keep choosing lines, notice it kind of rounds the corners here, or brings them in. You have a couple different options. Like if you were having it go on the outside, if you switch this to round, notice it rounds the corner there for you. Or you can go to a neutral or natural corner there. So a couple different options, but I'm just going to go ahead and put it at extend, but I want to put that to the inside, right? So as I select these lines, I'm offsetting to the inside. And once everything looks good, just click on OK. And just that easily, you were able to kind of copy that exterior rectangle, bring it on the inside, and then you can use this to do things like laying things out. A very common thing to do would be to change this interior rectangle to a different, like a reference rectangle. So what you do is you select all these lines here. You say, hey, I want to switch these from regular geometry over here to reference figures. Click on that, and now it's a reference. Okay, and then I can use this to lay things out. So I can say, hey, let's put some circles here in the corners. I like to make them overly large, just because they're easy to see and easier to work with at first. Right, and then you can see like a couple of these things actually show up, and they've already added that equal relationship. I can do it again. I can say, hey, how about this guy, and this guy, and make them all equal, right? So now if I define one of these, they all should change, right? So come over here. Let's define this first one of 0.75, and they all update, and it allows you to put that in the corner. Now think about how much work that would be if you didn't have this rectangle on the inside. You'd have to add some dimensions between each line, you know, and you can still define this, right? You can keep adding dimensions here, and that's just fine because it's already been offset a 1/2 of an inch, but it allows you to quickly offset all those lines and eliminate all those dimensions you would have probably had to do before. And you can use, you know, offsets for a lot of different things. But this is one of the best ways to do that, and offset and then switch over to some reference geometry. But you can also use it for a lot of different things. And if you're just doing like a layout over a building or a piece, and you just know the specific offsets you're going to be doing, it's a great way to just, you know, type those values in, offset those lines, and you can get all that data real quickly based upon some starting sketch. Anyways, that's the basic for offsets. Definitely use them. They'll save you a lot of time.